59 for a free estimate. Seminole Fence, working hard to build fences and harder to build relationships.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be breezy and cooler on this Monday with sunshine and a few clouds. Highs in the mid-60s to low 70s. And partly cloudy tonight, lows ranging from 44 in the coldest inland spots to 61 at the coast. Times of clouds and sun tomorrow. There may be a shower along the coast, the high 69 to 73. Wednesday, times of sun and clouds and breezy with a couple of showers around high 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Thank you, Joe. 22 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. How is the temperature out there? Let me take a quick look. Since I'm indoors, I can't really tell. 46 degrees. That's still pretty cold. Last night was expected to be, the low was supposed to be 46. It went down to 39, according to my little thing here. And tonight's low dropping to 44 degrees. So, you know what would have been nice? It would have been nice if it was a little bit cooler on Saturday during Light at Ocala. But the good thing was the rain let up, and we had a pretty nice Light at Ocala evening, and then the rain came back later on. And Galen, this morning was saying that at his home, which is not too far from the downtown area, it never stopped raining all evening long. So I don't know if somebody put in a good word for the downtown area or not. We have to take. We have a guest calling in right now. Robin, is that right? Is that who's on this line right now? Okay, so does he know I'm just going to go straight to the air? Okay. All right, so let's go straight to the phone line. Allan K. Patch is on the phone. He's a retired captain of the U.S. Navy and a practicing dentist and a historian. And he's written a book called Passage at Delphi. So let's find out about the book and say good morning to Allan. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for having me on with you.
Oh, you're welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from San Diego.
Wow. Well, thank you for getting up early to be with us today.
Yeah, well, I get up early anyway. Have a dog to let out, and you know how that is.
Oh, I know how that is. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, every night.
It's funny how they are. Yeah. Eating at the bowl for food.
Exactly.
The book is called Passage at Delphi. Give us a thumbnail sketch of the story in the book.
Well, first of all, I love history, and I love applying, the lessons of history to the present day. So, Passage at Delphi, it's part one of a series that pulls together the past, present, and the future. And it's a historical adventure, a bit of romance and fantasy, and lots of action. And the story takes a pair of history professors with a shaky marriage on a vacation that goes very, very bad. And that kind of sets up the story. They have no idea their lives are about to be upended. And they travel from San Diego to Greece, where they're propelled into an ancient war, and it forces them to confront a past that's both familiar but absolutely terrifying. Now, familiar because they know what's going to happen. They're history professors.
Yeah.
And so they take chances. And when you're arrogant, guess what? Things go wrong. It goes all to heck on them.
That would always be a dilemma, wouldn't it? Jeb Bush was asked a couple weeks ago if he would kill Hitler as a baby. Oh, yeah, sure. He said, "Oh, sure I would. Oh, sure I would do that." No, you wouldn't. Nobody would kill a baby.
No.
I mean, if you went back in time and you saw Hitler as a baby, you would not, because you wouldn't see him as Hitler. You'd see him as a baby, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the problems of dealing with these issues of time is a bit complex, but it is an interesting idea because we read about history in books. We don't understand what it's like to live them real time. None of us know what it's like to storm the beach at Normandy or to be in these historical situations that people went through and they suffered, and there was great courage, and reading in a book just doesn't do it. So that's part of being able to be a fiction writer. It's nice to be able to take modern-day characters and throw them into a situation to see how they react, because in the end, in the story, what's going to happen is this couple is going to find out what they're made of, and they're going to find out what they're willing to sacrifice their lives for. But, with the shaky marriage and everything, they have that conflict going too. They're going to figure out what they mean to each other. And-
there's an interesting thing that you are exploring in this book, and I see it also in the tiny biography I have on yourself. Where are my notes here, so I can read them again? You're a dentist. Gosh, what did I do with my notes?
Here they are.
Thank you.
Put them right there.
You're a dentist. Hold on. But listen, I want to make a point here because you do this in the book. You're a dentist, you're a captain of the Navy, and a historian, and obviously a talented author. We have one-dimensional expectations of people. We don't of ourselves. We say, "Oh gosh, I can play the trumpet and I can fix a car, and I can throw a football and
Right.
But like when we look at people in history or even modern day people who are in the limelight, I guess it depends on who they are. If Billy Graham, for example, were to do something bad, I mean, we'd be all over him because that's Billy Graham. But meanwhile, Larry Flint could do something bad, and who cares? It's Larry Flint, you know?
Right. Yeah, there's an expectation there.
Yeah.
People who are held up in high esteem are expected to, hold a certain level of integrity. And when that's dashed, that's an issue. But this goes back to the whole idea of heroes. And we love the story of heroes, and they aren't perfect people, even in literature and history.
Right.
These are not perfect people. Heroes have flaws, and even tragic flaws. So, our idea of heroes goes way back. I mean, we go back mostly to ancient Greece because we're familiar with it, maybe Anglo-Saxon and Nordic. All the cultures have probably hero stories. We just don't hear about them as much, and all the cultures have value. We probably should hear more about their stories, but we tend to hear more about Greece.
Do you think that when we have somebody who is heroic in nature and then we find something else about them or we have a different opinion about them, like Columbus, for example. Columbus was, I guess you would consider a hero. I mean, we have statues of him, right, in Columbus Circle in New York. And now they're starting to say, no, he was a genocidist or whatever you call somebody who commits genocide. He was not a good guy. And all of a sudden we look at him differently because of today's, the way we look at things from today's perspective.
You're absolutely right. You have to look at historical figures in the context of where they are and what was being done at the time. And it's very hard to judge them on what we perceive today.
And you brought out you've brought out the societal conflict also, because you've got career playing a role in here, you've got family playing a role in here, you've got interaction with other people. Should they be sequestered from other people, or should they be involved? It's really a huge dilemma that you brought up in the book. Very well done.
Well, thank you. I try to deeply layer the issues in this novel series because this is part one, and the second book is going to be out in the first quarter. It's ready to go, and the third one is nearing completion. So get a little bit ahead of the game because the story, as a writer, you have to find something that you're passionate to write about and something that the story gets you going. The characters start to write themselves, and you discover things along the way. Although I've mapped out where this series is heading, you discover things along the way. Sometimes, heroes go through struggle, and as I said before, they find out who they are. But another thing about heroes is they always don't come home, and that's something we see. I mean, in our own days today, with our heroes who went to war and didn't come home. So I try to deeply layer it with different. There's tons of action. There's a great gal in here, heroine. She is the professor, and she has to be pretty quick on her feet because her husband gets in a lot of trouble. It's back to that issue of arrogance. Mm-hmm. And when you're arrogant, things go wrong. Well, guess what? She suffers the consequences, and there's quite a great story along the line. It's fun to see what these characters do.
And you do so well incorporating the wisdom of the generations. You have a grandson in there, and he recalls what his grandfather said about paving his own way and about how to work honestly and how the gods will look kindly upon you. I mean, you do an excellent job on that.
The Greeks thought very, very deeply, if we could just briefly go into mythology, but they thought very, very very deeply about their stories of the gods and people and how they react. Now, well, I'll give you a good example. There's an old myth called about Icarus and Daedalus, which is Daedalus was a architect. He built the labyrinth under the palace of King Minos in Crete. And at the end of it, he was done, and he wanted to go home. And the king said, "No, you're staying." So finally, he decided to escape with his son. And many people have heard this, but he built wings made out of feathers, and kind of sort of tied the feathers in with wax. And he told his son, who probably was a teenager, but he said, "Don't fly too close to the sun."
Right.
Because the wax will melt. Don't fly too close to the waves, because the waves will hit you and you'll fall into the water. So they jump off, they fly away, and what does the sun do? He flies too high to the sun. The wax melts, and he falls into the sea. And in the end, part of what the story is about the idea of moderation. Fly too high, fly too low, you're likely to get burned. So
I like that.
They were very much into the moderate life, balance in life, and to not go too far, to excess. And that kind of brings you back to the Temple of Delphi, which had written on the walls the two great sayings: everything in moderation and know thyself.
Ah, well, wow.
I love
So
that.
this is in addition to being a wonderful story, that we're learning some history that I don't think I ever put together before.
Well, that's part of fun. I love to put the action in and put these people in these dire circumstances to see what they do, but at the same time, there's always the issue of philosophy of life, which is something that I'm bringing out in this series too, and sort of connecting the past, present, and future. So in the end, this is a story about the past, present, and future. And Delphi is a very mysterious set of temples that are still revered by the Greeks today. And those temples, that complex becomes my conduit by which I move my characters between the past, present, and future.
Oh man, it makes me want to go over there.
Yeah.
Alan, can I ask you? Hang on. We have to take a little break, but we'll be right back. We've got weather and a few commercials. We'll be right back with Allan K. Patch's book, Passage. Am I saying it right? Delphi or Delphi?
Well, Delphi, it's pronounced a couple different ways, but you can say Passage at Delphi.
Oh, Delphi. Okay. Passage at Delphi. Delphi. We'll take a little break and be right back with Allan.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. It'll be breezy and cooler on this Monday with sunshine and a few clouds. Highs in the mid-60s to low 70s. And partly cloudy tonight, lows ranging from 44 in the coldest inland spots to 61 at the coast. Times of clouds and sun tomorrow. There may be a shower along the coast, the high 69 to 73. Wednesday, times of sun and clouds and breezy with a couple of showers around high 76 to 80. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hi, Matt Wilkerson here, your mobile Verizon rep. But not just here, I'll deliver the phone to you in your home. While I'm there, I'll only sell you what you need and I'll personalize it to you. Want to have me get you connected? Then call me at 352-528-0020. I even offer unlimited home phone service for just $20 per month. Just call me, your mobile Verizon rep, at 352-528-0020.
If you're anything like I was, the thought of getting older was the last thing on your mind. But here we are. For me, it started slowly. The lack of energy, never being in the mood. And when I was, I could never perform at my best. I tried the pills and other treatments with minimal results, and all but given up on my sex life. Then I found the doctors at New Mail Medical Center. Wow, they made a new male out of me. Feel like I'm 25 again. I have renewed vigor, so much more energy, and no longer worry about my performance. New Mail treated me like my situation was one of a kind, with a custom treatment plan that really works. I feel great. They can create one for you too. It does not matter if you suffer from low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or just want to last longer. New Mail will help you.
Call New Mail Medical Center today at 352-404-4779. 352-404-4779. That's 352-404-4779. It will change your life. 352-404-4779.
All right, 8 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. One of the things I was thinking about during the break, Allan Patch, by the way, is on the phone. He's talking about his book, Passage at Delphi. One of the things I was thinking about heroes, etc., is the one-dimensional thing. When we have somebody who we hold up, we make a mistake by not realizing that there's more depth to all human beings. And it sounds like in the Greek mythology, it sounds like whoever wrote those stories, understood that there were fallible characteristics even to people who would be considered gods and goddesses.
Yeah, they have great courage, and but also, they have faults. And one of the personality faults that the gods, we call them the Olympian gods, disliked immensely was arrogance or hubris. And they disliked it because if you felt that you were, if you had too much pride in yourself or too much arrogance, the gods thought that, you know what, this guy thinks he's a god, and he can't be like us. So they take a big fly swatter and whack you right back down to earth. And a good example of that is the traveler Odysseus, who was in the Odyssey, and he puts out the eye of the Cyclops, and he tells the Cyclops, my name is No Man. And so when they finally escape and he's yelling to his friends, no man has put out my eye, they're saying, well, if no man put out your eye, then we're going to go home. But the ship is sailing away, and then Odysseus yells out, and if anyone asks who put out your eye, it was Odysseus from Ithaca. Well, he doesn't. I guess he forgot that the Cyclops' father is the god of the sea, Poseidon, and now he's going to be in a mess for about the next 9 years. So, so you see how arrogance and hubris comes back to get you. The Greeks didn't like that idea because they were surrounded by excess and exaggeration. Kings from the east, the pharaohs and the Persian kings had total dominance over their people. So anyway, it's just kind of interesting working these threads into the story.
You are an amazing historian. We also learned about you that you're a judge for the San Diego County History Fair. What kind of items do people bring to a history fair? This is the thing that's great about seeing young people, because you get your faith restored. I've also been a science fair judge in the past as well. And you look out and you go, kids are really interested that much in education and things. And guess what? You get your faith restored when you see what these middle schoolers and high schoolers come up with. In our case, being a member of the Friends of Classics for San Diego State University, we're a group affiliated with the university where we have lectures and professors that come in and visit, and we raise money for the classics department. But we put out a call to all middle schoolers and high schoolers to do projects on the classics, Greek and Roman history, what it means to them. And that's not the only thing that's there. There's everything from Clara Barton to all through the scope of history. And it's wonderful to see them interested and to doing these projects.
Are you okay with taking phone calls?
Sure.
Okay. There we had a phone call. I don't see it on the screen anymore. If you were trying to call in and you just bailed out, here we go. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air now with Allan Patch.
Good morning,
Patch. I'd like to call you sir. Having been an enlisted Marine doctor, and you're a fellow soldier, even though you're a sailor, I'd like to ask you, sir. Would you not agree that courage doesn't necessarily always mean a person having moral values? In other words, there could be Marines that may sacrifice their lives to save their fellow Marines, but when they weren't on the battlefield, they may not be considered as having a decent set of moral values. And I would like the doctor to give his opinion on that. And also in the American Civil War, I'd like to ask the doctor who he would consider heroes from those conflicts, or from the American Civil War conflict. And Semper Fi and anchors away, sir.
There you go. Okay.
Yes, thank you for your service. I would go back to what you were saying about the idea that people are complex and they rise to the occasion. But at the same time, they have personalities that they have different interests and other things that they enjoy doing, or they might get trouble on the other side. I mean, I was with the Marines in Okinawa, and sometimes I'd have a Marine come to me in the morning, and he would say, well, he'd have a broken jaw. And I'd say, well, why? How'd you get this broken jaw? And I'd say, well, I fell out of bed. Well, probably more than likely he was fighting.
right.
In a bar fight. I mean, that can happen. Those kind of things happen. But at the same time, we have these heroes which go out and risk their lives. And really, the simple definition of a hero is someone who puts themselves at risk for others. So think of all of our servicemen and women out there putting their lives on the line. It's really incredible. Fire, police, rescue, all of them.
It is a really good point. Do you know what comes to mind? Do you remember the movie The Dirty Dozen? I mean, these were prisoners, and they were asked to do something for their country. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't remember the whole story, but I mean, I guess that's the gist of it. And the question from the listener implies that we don't always have the highest standards, but if we save somebody's life, if we
can get the job done.
That's pretty heroic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they exhibit courage at the right time, and of course, none of us know if we're going to react that way. Look at those guys on the train going from Amsterdam to Paris.
Right.
Did they wake up that day knowing they were going to be heroes? No, they didn't. No. But they reacted. And I read the interview with one of the gentlemen. He was a British citizen, and he said, he'd actually discussed the idea with someone beforehand, and he said, I was either going to die fighting or die, hiding. So we jumped up.
There you go.
Exactly.
Die one way or the other.
This is wonderful.
Great book. It's called Passage at Delphi. Call me if you want the copy that was sent to us. I will give it to you. It'll be waiting for you at the station. The rest of us have to go buy it. Allan K. Patch is who you will look for online. Allan, do you have a website you can tell us about or direct us to buy the book?
Yes, it's akpatchauthor.com. It's also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And, they have people take a look at it, see what they think. But I guarantee them a wild ride. That's one thing. I have an antagonist, a bad guy in this book who just watch out.
Yeah, excellent job.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
We have to run. Allan, AK Patch is what you would look up. I'm sorry. We'll take a break and be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. Britain is stepping up its fight against ISIS. Prime Minister David Cameron, meeting with French President Allan, says he'll seek Parliament's okay for Britain to join the U.S.-led coalition making airstrikes in Syria against the militants.
The United Kingdom will do all in our power to support our friend and ally France to defeat this evil death cult.
The UK and France agreed to increase counter-terrorism cooperation in the wake of the deadly Paris attacks 10 days ago. 3 suspects are in custody in Indianapolis in connection with the rape and killing of a pastor's pregnant wife, Amanda Blackburn.
Detectives say the men walked into the Blackburn home, which was unlocked, and confronted Amanda, who was there waiting on her husband to get back from his early morning workout.
Kyle Inscape of Fox affiliate WXIN.